the remainder of my life. So I would say my life kind of started, with a lot of resilience, having to learn it, having to overcome it. And so, but I would not have it any other way. I've been in the medical field for 35 years, medical and mental health. I absolutely love what I do. I love helping people, and I am all about emotional wellness and how to better, get yourself to the best possible health that you could, possibly be at. And not allow really any disabilities to overcome your desire. I'm a perfect example of that, and nobody would ever figure out or know that I do have a lot of medical issues. So let's get started. So our new project, my new project is 360 Mindset Coaching, and I love the little cape on the woman because I want to be a superhero when I grow up. And I just think it's great to be able to help women to be able to overcome, the impact of that whole traditional and outdated woman's role, and especially being a Latina. We are raised with so many limiting beliefs and generational stereotypes. So I am going to change that if I can. I have 3 daughters, and they are all really working on themselves to be able to undo what I did, not knowing, what I know now. So thank you, Hannah. So knowing what I know now, I would not, allow that to happen again. So this is me. At a certain age, I decided, well, what the heck, let's do something, because I haven't done enough with my life, and I am the biggest scary Mary you guys have ever met. I cannot even go on a roller coaster, like the Dumbo ride at Disneyland freaks me out. So don't ask me how I decided to do this. So it was to, be able to overcome my fear and then also find inner peace. And the whole idea sounded just so fantastic. Not realizing that I had to board a plane to be able to get up to the sky to be able to jump down. So that's when I started freaking out. But I practice everything that I teach. I shifted my mindset like 100 times. I talked myself out of being afraid. It was a process, and not once did I ever think I was not going to do it. So it was like a given until, of course, I saw the plane. Flashback, I guess, of my childhood or something. Panicked. So it was the most amazing experience ever. And to be honest, from there, I just came out like a completely different person. And I don't want to say I'm happy, but I have so much joy. There's a difference between being happy and having joy in your life. Happiness is just very momentary. Hello. And joy is something that I keep with me and I have with me at all times. So skydiving scares me too. Yeah. So one of the things that we all learned this past year is how to be resilient. And some of us did a great job, some of us did not. But those who did not is not because you're not good enough. It's just because you never had a need to even exhibit anything like that. And we'll talk about it as we go, along. But that is, I really started to think, this is the first time in my lifetime that I could honestly say I have something in common with the whole world. There was not one person that was not affected by COVID, so. This. Okay, so this is the 3 key takeaways. Understanding the definition of resilience. Resilience is the ability to navigate life, adapting to change, learning through adversity, and understanding your feelings and emotional responses to situation. We will discuss that at length in a little bit. Also, we're going to learn about strategies to apply resilience to business and personal life. So I say avoid making a drama out of crisis. Treat a problem as a learning process and fail with confidence. And I'm great for that. I love failing with confidence. I'm not going to let a little failure stop me. And then the other one is how trauma impacts resilience. This is, how one's relationship with their environment and how aware they are of what really happens inside of them is how you're really going to be able to overcome a trauma, and how you come out at the end is also, showing that you have a lot of resilience. So here we are. So, okay, understanding resilience. So we're going to learn about adapting to changes, learning through adversity, understanding your feelings and emotional response. I absolutely love this slide because adapting through changes. What did we just go through? How well did we adapt to that? The struggles during this past year, think about it. From working at home to being teaching, school, at-home school learning, to having to see your significant other all day long. Not only after 5 o'clock, before you thought your relationship was after 5 o'clock on the weekends, you're like, sign me up for that. But now it's like, oh, you again? I have never, ever wanted to have a bigger house like this past year. I'm like, yeah, it's gotta be a better life. So what I do want you ladies to is to share with me, how did this having to be at home this last year impact you? Either with your relationship, divorce rates went up by 70-something%, and all this was in Orange County. So for the first time, I was really glad I didn't live in Orange County. So I would like to hear from you, from anybody, from my brave young ones.
I'll go.
Okay.
So definitely COVID. It's just, well, first of all, during COVID, I was a senior in high school.
Ooh.
So it was already challenging as it was because I didn't get all my senior activities, and that's supposed to be the funnest year of high school, and therefore I didn't get it. So it caused me to kind of just at first it just brought me I was down, because I was around I'm very social, so not being around other people and just not having that communication in person was really hard. And so when I started this job at Socialize LA, it kind of made me realize, I started back in November, that's it kind of just put a different mindset in me to where I'm I don't need to be in person with people to have communication and relationships with people. And I've met more people through the internet than I actually probably would have in person or in school. And it's so awesome to see how it's what, COVID could have been some people say it's evil, but in some ways it's helped some people turn, it's helped the good come out,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but that's kind of how I saw all of it.
Well, so that leads me to believe that you had a childhood that you did experience quite a few things that made you resilient. So it wasn't a childhood that everything was given to you, or that you didn't have to struggle for anything, because those are the people that you hear that are super, unhappy with everything, just are going against the grain because they don't know how to adapt.
Right.
So great job. I think Caroline, go for it.
Well, it was funny hearing about just seeing your partner day in and day out. So I had the opposite. So my significant my boyfriend lives in New York City, and funny enough, he's a documentary film producer, and we would see each other through work all the time. So I would go with Deloitte over to New York City, and he would be in LA filming documentaries or at the studio. And then when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, we ended up not seeing each other in person for 15 months.
Oh my.
Which is crazy, but until we were both vaccinated and didn't have to quarantine and all of that. And from a resilience perspective, I think it was really difficult and really trying when it was like the days turning into weeks and the weeks turning into months and the months turned into a year.
Right.
And there was a point in October when I was just at my wit's end and like, I'm just gonna come visit. And then a surge was happening in Brooklyn, which is where he lives, and it just at the end of the day kind of fell through, because it was like, am I willing to put my health at risk to come visit the one I love, or do I make the sacrifice, the collective sacrifice, to kind of hunker down? And I really had to I leaned into kind of the serenity prayer. And recognizing that I had no control over this global pandemic. I can't change it, but what I can change, or what I have control over, is my mindset and just surrendering. And from that point on, until I did get to see him last month, thank God, that it was once I let go of like that feeling of control, of trying to change things, of trying to be together, that we had the best time, even though we had to be like really creative and have interesting dates. And we both had to decide, like, are we both in this? Are we in or are we out? Because we don't know when we're going to see each other again. And I don't know if that's an example of resilience. It feels like it to me. But it's just interesting, because when you were sharing about you and your husband, and I had the opposite experience, but it brought us so much closer together.
Yeah, so that's great. And actually, I was just going to tell you, it probably made your relationship stronger, because of what you guys went through and what you guys went through together. So it's not like it's something that you're going through and he's not. And like you said, the whole world went through this pandemic. So that's one of the things that I do believe that has allowed me to really take a deep breath and realize how this was monumental, and the fact that families weren't able to see each other, because in the past I would be, I can't see my grandbabies for 2 weeks. Hello, people have gone how long without being able to see each other. So, and it really, like you said, it did make us be very creative as far as the relationships, how are we going to be able to maintain them, the family structure. So it was huge. So thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. Okay, anyone else? All right, so what we're gonna, so then I'll move on. Don't worry, your turn will come. So what did we really learn through these experiences? How did we really learn adversity? Where did resilience kick in during these times? Was it at the beginning? Was it at the middle? Was it almost towards the end? Because when the whole COVID thing started, I was good to go. My mindset was like, I'm going to give it until May. It's going to be over by May. And then, like you said, Caroline, I was good. I was having so much fun. I was being so creative with business and with my friendships and everything. Then May rolled around. I'm like, I'm going to be out of the house. When June hit, I was like, I did not sign up for this. So talk about reframing all over again. And I really went through about a couple of weeks that I didn't know what was wrong with me, because I couldn't figure it out, because I had never had those feelings before. So I think it was like mild depression. And so then, I started talking to my husband about it. And he's like, it's your mindset. You talk about mindset all the time. It's reframe. I'm like, okay, Alina, you're good to go. So I did my little talk to myself. And yeah, I mean, from then on, it was just fun. Again, so I was like in that mode once again, that it is what it is. There's nothing that I could do to change it. The only thing I could do is just have fun through it. So, yeah. Okay, so let me see. So how depending on how we interpret and respond to events, that's really shows how resilient we are. You know, and one of the things is, it was a perfect example what I just gave, and also Caroline and also Hannah, because it's like you just do what you have to do, you know, to make it work and to be able to move forward, because what else are you going to do? You know, but then there's some people that they don't have the same mindset because they don't have the emotional foundation. So they literally, you know, fall apart. Hence why alcohol sales went up like incredible. I was like, and I was in the wrong business. I needed to be in that kind of business, you know. So now as a recovery coach, maybe it's going to start paying off. But it was crazy, you know, and just think about the loss of income. So everything that people had to go through and had to come out at the end to be a better person, or just to continue being the best person that they can be, with was actually happening at the time. So understanding your feelings and emotions is huge. I tend to have to check myself like maybe once a week. When I start acting a little off, I'm like, okay, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? And then, you know, just the whole reframing all over. Because there's things, you know, there's times that something will happen, it'll just throw you off balance. And then you're having to restart again. So, and this is something I practice every day. I mean, I practice, you know, resilience, mindset, emotional response. I practice all this all day long, but it does not mean that it does not get to me. So, okay. So here is one of my fave. It's applying strategies for business and life. You know, I say set realistic goals, either in business. Oh, Tara's gonna be mad at me. What I do? Oh, either in business or in your personal life. You know, I will not set a goal that I know that I cannot achieve. But that's because I'm extremely competitive, and the only person I'm gonna have to compete is with myself. So like, how do I do that? So, you know, like for instance, because of COVID, I'm blaming everything on COVID now. I gained some extra weight. So I cannot tell myself, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, because it's almost a recipe for disaster. I know I cannot. So instead of that, I'm like, oh, I'll see how many pounds I could lose on a monthly basis. So that's a realistic goal for me. You know, so at the end, I don't get disappointed, I don't get discouraged, and then I'm still happy with whatever the outcome is. So, okay, girls, so did we have a gentleman too? I saw his name, right? Did I? Okay. So what I do want is to hear from someone about goal setting. I mean, have you done that? Have you done that for your business? Have you done that for your personal life? Amy's shaking yes, call me. Tell me, Amy, and how did that turn out?
Alina, I've been in personal development things for 25 years, goal setting. I have my full focus planner with my quarterly goals in the beginning of it, and I just completed the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program.
Congratulations.
So there's an entire growth plan.
Yes.
Literally, we are going into high gear on it tomorrow. It is 93 pages of stuff to implement in the business and all that. And what I wanted to say is that I like the idea of stretch goals, and like, here's the goal and here's the stretch goal. But on the topic of resilience, you know, man, I just got so, if I even say it, I'm going to tear up. My dad just passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And so being resilient, like, you know, I'm really good at reframing. I'm like a master at it, right? I've been doing it 25 years.
Oh.
And there is a time where just they stack up,
Yep.
right? And so sometimes for me, the act of being resilient is to recognize when I'm in one of those
Mm-hmm.
and have the patience and kindness and compassion to not push through it in the same way, at the same pace, because it just, sometimes they just are bigger than others.
Right.
So it wasn't, for me, it isn't just COVID, but, Dad going through a stage 4 cancer diagnosis and dying within 3 months. And we've been here on the East Coast since the middle of May. So I just wanted to not to bring it down, but just to kind of ground us in the being resilient doesn't look the same all the time.
Or for everyone.
Sometimes,
Exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes the being resilient is like the baby steps that you can see in front of you to take. That's how it occurs for me. When I'm in one of the really big ones, I'm like, what is the baby step? And it's the same thing with a goal for business and for life, is that there's always a baby step you can take. And having resilience is the internal strength or internal calling and intuition to actually take the step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you cannot take that step, then you stay, like I would say, stuck. You cannot move forward and, and be able to come out at the other end. I don't want to say successfully, but, some in a way that would make you happier. Because, everybody's, success is completely different for everybody. But I absolutely love what you said, Amy, and I really appreciate you for sharing. And, boy, you and I could have a long conversation on this. But Amy, so you're on the East Coast. Where are you?
Normally I'm in California.
Ah.
I was on the board of the LA chapter for a while, and when I got accepted to the Goldman Sachs program, I stepped off the board in favor of actually doing that program. So this idea of resilience and of goals and all of that, resilience for me is honoring the challenge for what it makes available on the other side.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because in every challenge there's opportunity. In every piece of upheaval, like last year, there is opportunity that's born because of it that wouldn't be available to us without it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Annette, I saw your hand, but I thought you were waving. This is how much I know about emojis.
Yeah, kind of raise a hand so to be able to participate. Unfortunately, my webcam, if I turn that on, my audio goes off. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yeah, on the matter of goals, so coming from, I'm a person of faith. So from faith perspective, I believe in setting audacious goals, just big, audacious goals. Because if I'm not seeing beyond what I can do myself, right, with the help of my creator, if it's what I can do myself, then that's too easy for me. But for business, I set yearly goals. One of the things I do for goal setting is I call it business planning, not just goal set. I mean, there's goals within my business plan, and I go away every year. Around November, beginning of December, and I set out my plan for the following year, and I set 90-day goals. So I set quarterly goals in addition to my annual goal, and they're big.
That's
big.
great.
And sometimes with some quarters I hit them, some quarters I don't. In my business, it's just it was the craziest thing. Pandemic hit, and I had the best year of my in like over 13 years of my business. So and even I was coaching and mentoring in a large brokerage, and they were waiting to move me to take over an office, to manage an office, and something shifted, right? I actually pivoted and decided to go out on my own. And within a month of going out on my own, I had people calling me saying, hey, I want to go work with you.
Wow.
So it's just like, you know, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was you. It was like saying, you know, the pandemic destroyed a lot of businesses, but other businesses just, I don't know, they just took off.
Yeah.
So I was truly blessed. Had the best year. Ended up starting my own business instead of waiting for somebody to give me the opportunity they were, you know, that they said they would give me. But of course, the pandemic slowed everything down for that part of it, as far as business expansion for them, but not for me.
Wow, yeah, that's great.
So,
And
but
what kind of business are you in, Annette? What's your business?
I'm a real estate broker.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
So people were moving, huh?
Yeah, and you know, and it's still continuing. So people moving out of California, people moving out of the city, more into the suburbs, with a lot of people working from home. You know, they can make the commute, so they're moving further away, so they can get as far away from the city as they can.
Right.
So it is just a whole different thing with the real estate business. It's just been incredible, but like I said, I believe in setting big goals, and I find myself telling myself every morning when I get up, you know, I say, it really brings me great joy to be making this much money. I'm not there. I'm not even close to there, but I'm setting myself up for that.
Oh yeah.
For that
exactly.
potential.
You got to put it out there in the universe. You know, and another thing is that if you don't believe it, I believe that if you don't believe it, it doesn't manifest. You know, and it's with the big goals, small goals, you have to believe in yourself, and also the fact that it can and it will happen. So.
Right, and then do the work.
And then, of course, you
Then-
just can't sit
and
there and
then
like,
do the
yeah,
work.
let's hope. And hi, Michelle, welcome.
I wanted to chime in there on goals too a little bit, if you don't mind.
Go
I'll be
ahead.
brief, but it doesn't matter if it's a big goal or a small goal. What matters in terms of resilience is sticking with whatever is uncomfortable and difficult and hard for you.
Right.
And the more you stick with it, and they've done many studies around this, the more you stick with it, you create new neural pathways that bring on more self-confidence, and you create resilience that way by sticking to what is difficult, whatever that is. And it can be goals, or it can be things that are happening in your life, whatever. But in terms of the goals, big, small, the important thing is sticking with it.
Right. Yeah, so absolutely, because you cannot sit and say, I want, I wish, and not do anything about it. It's not going to happen. So you really have to, right, Hannah? You really have to be a go-getter and do it. What's going on, Hannah?
So I love this topic. I'm just hearing everybody, and it's awesome. So I had so many goals set for before I graduated high school. I just had things I wanted to achieve, you know, in life. And I was at the frame of mind, like when COVID hit, I was like, I'm never going to be able to do what I want to do. I'm never going to do this. And it all came back to me. And I was like, and to me, that's like a selfish mentality, because there's so many people out there who have lost loved ones during COVID, and just certain things, you know? So it took me time to really like reflect on life and everything, the world that was going on around me. So back in November, when I first started working at Soul Shines LA, I was like, I have all these goals, and slowly but surely I started like writing out goals like for each month that I had for 2021. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And so slowly but surely, like the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm not reaching any of my goals. Like I was getting really discouraged, because everything I wanted, it wasn't going through. And I was like, these goals are too big for someone my age and something I want to do. And so it just took me a minute, and I came out of it, and I talked to somebody through NABA, and they were just really encouraging, and just, you know, and so now months later, I'm looking at my paper that I had. So I was in the middle, I don't know what I was doing, but I pulled out a piece of paper and I started writing all my goals. And so now at the outside of it, I'm like, slowly but surely, like I'm reaching my goals like day by day. It may not happen overnight, obviously, but like time going, I'm like, whoa. So looking at it now and hearing everybody, like it's so awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my little thing.
Yeah, so, and that's one of the things, you know, we were talking, set realistic goals and then set goals that are going to be, you know, hard to reach, because it is true. And, you know, the longer you're in business, you'll realize that if you don't challenge yourself, then your business doesn't grow. You become very stagnant. So, and that's also in your own personal life, you know, at school or whatever it is. So don't give up if it doesn't, you know, and also, if you gave yourself, like, let's say in 90 days, I'm going to make, you know, $150,000. That's what I'm saying. Be realistic. How realistic is that? You know, so if you're just saying, you know, in 90 days, I'm going to increase my income, even if you increase it by $20, you're like, yes, I did it. You know, it's so completely different. I mean, I just love this whole mindset and mind shift, because you could achieve just about everything that you want. You know, so don't be so hard on yourself. And I'm glad you spoke to an Abu sister and she was able to get you back in shape. So I appreciate that. Okay, so then the other thing is, you know, analyzing and accepting setbacks. You know, do you become a meaning-making machine? Do you make out of it more than what there really is? Or do you see things for face value? To me, that's been a huge lesson, because I would go to the meaning-making machine, you know, oh, so-and-so, they didn't hire us because of this, they didn't hire us because of that. So it wasn't, instead of, they didn't hire us because there's no need for our service. You know, so it could be you're going after the wrong, a different target audience, or, you know, not everybody's going to buy what you sell. So as soon as you accept that, the sooner you accept that, the better it is. It's going to be the best thing for your business, for your life, you know. So yeah, so don't be so hard on yourself, and, you know, take things for face value. If I could say anything, is take things for face value. And reframing, yeah, Michelle. So then the other, let me see, I don't know how much time I have, and I don't want Tara to scream at me. So, can resilience be taught? I think I have, yeah, so now we're gonna have to speed it up. Absolutely, absolutely, resilience can be taught. Some people are, because of the way that they were brought up, they're more resilient than others, you know. But if it's, so you can't do anything about, you know, your DNA or, you know, even luck, to be honest with you, because you have no control of that. But definitely, there are too many things that you could do to build an emotional foundation that's going to make you strong enough to be resilient and to be able to move forward. You know, so one of the things I learned, you know, from my mom is that she never said no. Everything was, it almost seemed to me, you know, when you're a kid, it just seems like your parents are just doing things so, you know, easy going, because you don't know, because they don't tell you, especially in my generation. But as you get older, you're like, and then you're having to work, and then you have a family, you're like, oh my gosh, that was not easy at all. But it's because she was so resilient. It was crazy, due to, you know, the way that her upbringing and where she was born and raised and all that. But I absolutely believe that, you know, resilience is teachable, and as long as you're not trying to change your genetics, and you're not trying to change, you know, your life experiences, or, like I said, your luck, that cannot be modified. But specifically, resilience building skills can be learned. I'm going to give you guys the list. So let me see if this is Tara. Oh, no. Okay. Tara has me stressed out now. So the other thing, okay, let's go to the next slide just in case we don't make it. Okay, so this was my favorite one as I was working through this, and it's the same thing, you know, how resilient are you? Some people are more resilient than others. Some people are able to see things at face value and say, okay, this is exactly what happened, and this is what I need to do to move forward. But then there's those who have, I don't want to call it a weak foundation, but a foundation that they have not had to go through any troubles, or, you know, their life was a pretty good life, and they don't know how to overcome an obstacle. So the best thing that they could do, and the only thing that they know how to do, is start drinking mommy juice. That's what I call it. But that is because their emotional foundation is weak and they're not able to cope with what really is happening. So what I do want to give you ladies is I have a bunch of tips. So we might not be, oh no, Tara says we're good on time. Okay, so this is the skills that I believe, and this is really what I practice and what I go to. This is my go-to. So the 5 aspects of resilience. So there's that little card that I think Tara says she's gonna send. But to me, wellness is huge. And I'll talk a little bit about all of them. So wellness is the feeling that you are being able to be realistic and to know that in the world, everything doesn't work out the way you want it to be. Things are, you could plan, but the universe will say, you know what, not today, and things will just shift. Then what do you do with that? So as far as wellness, military teaches resilience coping skills to their troop who are going to war zone. Yes, that's true, the PTSD, yeah. So, so there's hundreds of wellness modalities and things and definition and all that people, that you could find. But to me, one of the most important ones, and this is in the way that I practice it, and this is the order that I practice, wellness. I wake up every day and I practice gratitude. Even before my feet hit the ground, I practice gratitude. I find, and let's just say, because everything is like my husband says, everything is not rainbows and waterfalls. But I even say, I hear the birds chirping, and I'm like, you know what? I am so grateful the birds are chirping, instead of get out of my windowsill because they make a mess. So, and that really sets my day, the tone for my day. It really sets it off from the beginning. Finding things to be grateful for. I try to find 5. And I don't do the regular, oh, my kids, my grandbabies, that kind of stuff. I really try to find things because, of course, I'm super grateful for them. And they are also part of me practicing gratitude. But I try to find things that most people wouldn't. I get excited when my plants don't die. That's because I kill everything, I kill plants. So when I see them that they're green, I'm like, you guys are so pretty. Sometimes, I think the neighbors think I'm crazy, but it's just because I really, really do try to find things that that I am grateful for and that they really do uplift me. So the other thing is emotional. So this is almost like, I want to say a resilience checklist or inventory. Let's just call it inventory. So as far as your emotional foundation, how do you feel most of the time? And how well do you deal with stress? These are questions that you could ask yourself in the comfort of your own home and in silence, because nobody's going to lie to you. You're not going to lie to yourself. Sometimes we do, but if you really sit down in a space and you are really wanting to know the truth about, your resilience in your life, at work, or whatever, ask yourself these questions. How do I deal with the challenges in my life? Do I scream? Do I panic? Do I have to resort to, substance? Do I see it as what it is? Let's talk about it. Let's just process it. Let's process it, and then let's be able to move on, and keep that in mind, that whatever happened, that's just going to be an experience in our life. We're going to learn from that so we don't repeat it again. The most important thing is not to repeat the same mistake over and over again, because you know what they call that? Insanity. So that's what we don't want to do. Then the other is my physical health. So ask yourself, do I eat well? Do I sleep well? Do I exercise? And I started probably a couple of months ago, I started doing little short videos, not of me exercising by no means, but I absolutely love Zumba, and I found a Zumba instructor that is so freaking handsome that I see him every day. You know, I mean, I go on YouTube, I put him on, I do my half an hour of Zumba, and it just starts off my day in a great tone. And like I tell the ladies, I mean, he's great eye candy, so you can't go wrong there. And the music is good, and I absolutely love it. That's something that I love and I enjoy. Then the other thing is occupational. You know, am I happy at work? What was it? Caroline was the one that said that, was it Caroline? There was someone else that also said that, oh, Annette, that, you know, she started her own business. So something must have prompted her to know that she was not happy at work. You know, do I feel appreciated at work? Or even in your own business, like even, you know, do your clients appreciate you? Does your business partner appreciate you if you have one of those? And then the other one is, how am I fulfilled at my job, at the work that I do? You know, and to me, that's a huge one, because if you don't love what you do, it's going to be a chore, you know. Then the last one is friends and family. You know, do I have positive relationships? And it's relationships with your family, relationships with your kids, with your significant others, you know, with your friends. And I had to do a cleaning of my emotional closet. That's what I called it. So those who didn't serve me, I really had to cut ties. You know, because when you get to a certain mindset and you really do practice mindfulness and you're really, really into it, the last thing you want is somebody to come and say, oh, you know, are you in a cult, or you're doing that foo-foo stuff and all that? No, I don't want someone like that in my life. You know, I only want happy, positive people in my life. I was an inpatient, was not going to wait anymore. So someone to give me a position I can't create for myself. Absolutely, Annette. See, that's exactly it. So then the other thing is, you know, do you get to visit with your friends and family on a regular basis? I say try to do something with your girlfriends at least every 2 weeks. That is super healthy, that keeps us going, you know, and it takes us out of the monotony of what we're doing every day. So to me, that's huge, and I do that. You know, and do you have the support from your family and friends, especially as entrepreneurs? You know, we do need somebody to emotionally support us. And sometimes our family is not, you know, because I don't know about you ladies, but my family would go pay a therapist quicker than they would even call me, you know, and we're in the same field. So that's something that, how do you handle that? You know, you have to be okay with that. And the same thing with your friends, especially, you know, when your friends want to come by and get free service for whatever you sell, they want it for free because they're your friends. So how do you deal with that? That's something, you know, which is really important for those ladies that are started a new business, or they, you know, they're new at their business, understanding that. Nothing is free, you know, they would have to go anyplace else and pay for it, so why would they not pay you for it? Okay, so I do want to stop here, and I do want you ladies to talk to me, or, you know, to tell me, what is it that you do? Like in any of these topics, the 5 topics, which one is important to you, and which one do you practice on a regular basis?
Can we ask somebody else who hasn't spoken up?
I know, Hannah's dying.
We'd love to hear from Hannah. All of you, we want to speak to more people.
Lily must have seen Hannah. Hannah's like, oh, I gotta do that.
Go ahead, Hannah.
I do something I practice. I'm just loving this. So, something I definitely practice like on a daily basis is I start my mornings and I thank, you know, God for a beautiful day, and I really do, because, you know, we're so blessed. Like, at least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like, I wake up and I'm like, this beautiful life. Like, I'm so grateful. So I wake up, and something I know that I do need to kind of work on is like I'm a very emotional like person. So if something doesn't go my way, or if I'm like something out of the ordinary, I'm just like, what the first thing I do? I react to it, and I'm like, sometimes it's not always the best
Not-
in certain cases.
To be
So
reactive.
that's so that's something I'm definitely working on. I don't know if that's like personal or anything, but that's kind of how I cope.
Okay. So let's see. Anyone else? Oh, go on, Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Good evening, everyone. I actually truly believe in laughter and in controlling my endorphins. So I laugh at least 20 times a day.
Good for you.
And I also pray a lot.
Yeah.
You know, this world is in kind of a difficult way, so I think we need to add that in.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of people have not really a good night routine. So I make sure that I am going through laughter and really find that that is a good time to connect with all sorts of the people and the places around me and let go of what didn't happen this past day.
Yep.
So, you know, then in the night, lots of things can come to you, solutions and things like that, and the next day will be better.
Good. Good. Thank you. Anyone else? I noticed there was.
I can go.
Okay, Catherine. I was just going to say I noticed. Okay, go ahead.
I switched over to my phone, so my picture's probably not on. But something that's really resonating for me, or I guess it's tips that I can share, if you guys are open to it. Something that I've started to do, especially with anxiety emotions, is to stop myself from judging them as, oh, this is a bad emotion or this is a good emotion, very binary, and to just be curious about the emotion and to kind of be the observer
Right.
in my mind of like, okay, I'm feeling this, and what I'm going to be curious about it rather than judge it.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a couple months to really like implement that, but now I'm really leaning into it because I can start to, I think I can feel my feelings a little bit more rather than judge them.
You're more in tune with
I
your
feel
feelings.
like, oh, I'm in a bad place or a good place.
Yeah. So, and that's good. That's great. That is great because, like you said, you're able to realize what you're going through, and that way you're able to also move out of it quicker. You know, it's funny. I did, it just came out one day. I was doing a presentation, and I said, if there's nothing wrong with having a pity party, as long as you tell the guests that they have to leave at the end of the night, you know, and it just came out. I never even had practiced that one before, but at that moment, and then afterwards I started thinking about it, and I'm like, that's true. You know, yeah, people tell you, oh, don't have a pity party, or are you having a pity party? Yes, I am, but it's not going to last me forever. You know, so that was like a good way to put it in perspective. So in order for you to, you know, be able to process that information, move forward, and then tackle on whatever else is coming our way. So let me see. There was somebody else I heard.
So, this is Annette. Just for me on that whole emotional part, because if you've ever been in sales and you only get paid at the end, you know that can be a real emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
So when I coach and mentor, especially the newer agents, you know, I tell them, I'm like, you got 5 minutes. 5 minutes to cry, to scream, to do whatever it is you need to do to get you out of that funk, and then move on. Because I think sometimes the longer, and obviously we're talking about something kind of, I call it superficial. Obviously, it's not like a major thing, but the longer we stay in that, the longer we allow those thoughts to make their way from our minds into our heart. Yeah. I think the worse it gets. So the sooner we can kind of like we have to deal with it. We're not going to ignore what we're feeling, but just deal with it, and then let's find the solution and let's move on. Let's find,
Absolutely. Allow yourself to
let's-
feel the
let's find a way-
emotions.
yeah, feel what you're feeling, and don't pretend it's not there, obviously, because that only leads to worse things.
Right.
But feel it, deal with it, but you got to move on. You got to move on. So again, I'm talking about like really like just business stuff. I'm not like talking about like the real hard stuff. That's a little bit different, obviously.
Yeah. But that's true. That's a great tip. That's a great tip because we're all in business here, so that's good. One thing I kind of think when I freaked out and I thought that, did we talk about trauma and how it affects? Oh, okay. I couldn't remember that one. So then the other thing I do want to give you ladies, and I know we're crunching for time and I don't want to take much more, but I do have, a few tips that I'll just go ahead and ramble off some quick ones. So it's to be able to, what are you going to do, to be able to develop your resilience? One of them is, of course, learn to relax. We've already talked about that. You can do yoga, breathing exercises. I love breath work now. Then the other one is, practice positive thinking. We kind of have touched on all of these, but, reframing your negative thoughts. The other one is edit your point of view. See things for what they actually are. People have different perspective, and it is okay. We all don't think the same way, and we're not the same people. So, and then don't let your mistakes let you down, because think about them as an experience, not a mistake, and don't feel bad about them happening. I actually am okay with things happening to, in my business, in my personal life, because the way I look at it, the way I reframe it is, I'm learning from this mistake, and I'm going to make sure I don't make them again. So we did talk about that. And one of my favorites, choose your response. Think before you speak. I have to count to 10 because I'm witty. And sometimes it's not good in all the situations. So when it's in a situation that I know it does not serve me to be witty, I literally have to count to 10 before I could answer the question or answer whatever comment has been made. Set goals we've talked about, build your self-confidence, affirmations. I'm huge on affirmations. Try to do affirmations every day. Develop strong relationships with those who bring you joy. People that do not bring you joy, I'd rather not work with them. And be flexible. Nothing is set in stone, and nothing is impossible. We're literally are able to achieve whatever we want as long as we work for it. So nothing is just going to come to you for free or easy unless you have great luck. So thank you. Somebody was saying goodbye to us, but I do totally appreciate you ladies for being here, being interactive, enjoying this, joining us in Nabu. I know this is Lilith's spill, but if you guys are not a member, you guys want to be, because we are so cool.
Thank you, Alina, and it's yours as well. It's every one of ours, right? So great job. Thank you, Alina. Let's give her a round of applause. Round of applause, right? Wonderful. Leading such a great discussion, and thank you for great tips. And I really love and just hearing each other's ways of the way we deal, how we build our own resilience, and how it can be applied in business, how different it is in a personal life when we're dealing with trauma. And just sharing with each other. This is what makes this group so amazing, and I love it. And Hannah, all the ladies, thank you for joining. This is what we're building. Next Gen is we want to build, and everyone here is welcome. We all are young at heart, right? So every single lady here on the call, we're all are young at heart, and we are here at Next Gen group because we are building. And I loved how every single one of you who spoke, you shared your passion for something you want to do. And the common denominator that I heard every single one of you who shared is you love to help others. Somehow, in some different ways, whether it's through documentaries, whether it is through social media, different ways, or real estate even, like different ways we want to help others. And that's what brings us all together, united, and that's our common denominator. Before I do a couple of wrap-ups for our call tonight, please remember, I would love to hear from all of you, and we didn't get a chance to do that. And it's so important because remember, this is the opportunity we get to connect with each other. So if you didn't speak up, if you would like to introduce yourself right now, please raise your hand and I will let you do so. And even if you don't speak up, put it in the comment box, put it in the chat, your information, who you are, what is your business, your contact information, because we are here to connect and help each other, support each other's business. Maybe I am not, I don't have the financial or investors in a documentary film, but if I know Caroline's contact information and I meet somebody who's really passionate about documentaries, I can connect her. Somebody once told me, it doesn't matter who you know, it's who knows you. So make sure you share your contact information. And before we close the session today, if you don't know how to, you can actually download the chat and you can save that contact information. There's the 3 dots right next to the contact, the chat box. Once you click on it, you can say save chat and it will save on your desktop. So make sure you do share your contact information. As far as next gen, like I said, I always have this on my table. It says I am responsible. And I think this topic today is such a great topic that kind of reminds us that we are responsible for our own lives and we are responsible for adding value and making this world a better place through whatever our business is, whatever